Welcome to the Will Be Expletives. I'm Jeff.
I'm Ron.
And typically we start off the show with a terrible, terrible joke that sets the tone for the rest of our podcast. But today we actually going to start off on a more serious note.
Yeah, this was a tough one to take. It's already starting out to be a rough year as far as actor deaths go. But this time we lost Sir Christopher Lee, and we wanted to do just a little bit of an in memoriam for him. Just because he was a big part of our childhoods growing up and held a dear spot for both of us.
I mean, Dracula, Lord of the Rings, it's insane how many different movie franchises he was a part of, and you actually have a list of some of his accomplishments, right?
Yeah. I just have a short thing that I basically completely plagiarized from Wikipedia.
The hell you say?
But yeah, he was born Christopher Frank Carandini Lee on May 27th, 1922. He was knighted in 2009 and became a Sir for services to drama and charity is the official reason. I never found anything that said exactly what that meant for services to drama and charity. But he was best known as Count Dracula for the Hammer Horror series, the movie they made, Dracula.
I think it was Dracula probably more times than anyone, right? I mean, I believe
so.
It was a long series
and
of movies.
He is actually the Dracula that you think of. He's the Dracula that every Halloween costume you see at Walmart is based on.
Is the stereotypical, I want to suck your blood, is that him?
Yeah, okay. That's the one he's made of. And I think in London it's called, it's just called Dracula. It has a slightly different name in the U.S. I don't remember what it was. They have more, they just added words to the title, more or less. But then, of course, he was Saruman in the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit trilogies.
Probably my favorite role of his.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I think of when I think of him, is that. Yeah,
I think of him, and I think of Count Dooku in the Star Wars prequels.
As Saruman, he was the most badass death metal wizard of all time.
Well, dude, he was the only person to take on Yoda head-to-head, if you really think about it. I mean, the Emperor kind of did it from cover.
Yeah, like a prick.
Well, it was the Emperor. I mean,
Emperor asshole.
Darth Tyrannus, man, taking on Yoda head-to-head, and he was already, close to 90 years old.
I totally just got, the Count reference to Count Dracula in his name. I feel like a failure.
And then, of course, Francisco Scaramanga in The Man with the Golden Gun, the Roger Moore 007 movie, which I probably remember most fondly from the GoldenEye game on Nintendo 64. Fucking gun only held one bullet, but it was a one-hit instant kill.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was amazing. He always considered his best work, though, to be Jinnah, where he portrays the lead role of Pakistan's founder, Muhammad Ali Jinnah. And he always considered his best film to be the original 1973 Wicker Man. He also had some singing feats, though. Did you know he did opera and death metal?
I knew he did death metal, and even had a freaking Christmas death metal album, which sounds like the coolest thing.
So the opera is the more shocking fact for you.
Yeah, actually it is.
I think the most shocking fact about that for me was the fact that one of his I think it's his second death metal album released as recently as 2013. So he would have been 91.
Insane.
Yeah. He had several accomplishments and awards in World War II. Everybody always talks about the fact that he was in Special Forces, but actually the way he said it was he was attached to the SAS every once in a while. It wasn't actually...
I was only a total badass occasionally.
Exactly, right. But no, he had some pretty pivotal things. Apparently... according to Wikipedia anyway, he he enlisted with the Finnish forces first, volunteered to help them, and they just had him on some guard duties somewhere when nothing was ever seen, never saw a Nazi or anything, and he was not happy with that, so he enlisted to help on the American front, because most people don't know this, we had Americans in the war well before Pearl Harbor, helping out in Africa and everything.
Yeah.
And he enlisted to help them, and then he wasn't getting enough action there, and he just kept trying to find places. Eventually, he wound up on some platoon or something, and he occasionally helped out the SAS.
One of my favorite quotes of his was the story of Peter Jackson directing him. where he was like, okay, I want you to imagine hearing someone getting stabbed in the back. He's like, Peter, I don't have to imagine that.
Yes.
That's just a great quote.
Yeah, and that stems from this point in his life, I'm sure. Here's something I found interesting, and again, Wikipedia said, I don't know how substantiated this is, but according to Wikipedia, Lee is the step-cousin to Ian Fleming, which wrote the original 007 novels, and he later starred in The Man with the Golden Gun. And he is also a distant relative to Robert E. Lee and the astronomer John Lee. So I just thought
I had not heard of either of those.
Yeah, that one I did not know about. But yeah, especially the Robert E. Lee I found interesting, because didn't he portray in something?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I don't want to say. I might just be making it up. But I thought he portrayed Robert E. Lee in something.
Very possible. I mean, he was in. You said earlier he has the Guinness Book of World Record for most film appearances, right?
Yeah. We were talking about that off mic. He another podcast that I listened to was talking about how he got the Guinness Book of World Record for most theatrical and movie appearances, and he did another 15 films after that. So I'm sure he still holds that record for the time being. But sadly, on June 7th, at the Chelsea and Westminster Hospital at 8:30 a.m. at the age of 93, he was pronounced dead. He had been admitted for respiratory problems and heart failure, and I think that's a Sunday. The world found out about it on like a Thursday because they were notifying all the family and friends.
Yeah, it had been a few days. I think it was like either Wednesday or Thursday when what was really cool was to see all of his former cast members and directors. Everyone came out of the woodwork to send a tribute to him, because he was not only one of the most underrated actors of the last 100 years, but just one of the most underrated people. Like, the list of accomplishments, the guy spoke like 8 different languages. Like,
yeah.
Insane. I mean,
he's basically the original badass. I mean, everything that he did. I mean, his acting career began in like 1947. He literally watched that industry grow and evolve into what it is today. I mean, he was in the Hobbit movies. Well, the most recent one was last year.
Yeah, and he when he started filming The Lord of the Rings, he was almost 80, and that was about 15 years ago. I mean, he was prolific all the way up until he died.
Man. He took down Gandalf and then imprisoned him on the roof of his tower.
There's another quote I really, really loved of his. I didn't hear it till the last week or so when a lot of quotes started surfacing, but there was one where he was... I'm probably going to be butchering it a little bit, but it's basically...
How dare you butcher Sir Christopher Lee's quote.
This is approximately what he was saying. It was basically like, every actor is going to have terrible movies. The goal is to not be terrible in them.
Yes.
And that's very, very true of his career. I'm sure he did some terrible movies every now and then, but he was amazing in every role, and he will be missed severely. Severely missed.
Like I said, everything about him, his acting ability, he mostly portrayed villains. It seems like, from what I read something analyzing his work, and he was mostly villains. They think that was a lot of the time due to his distinctive voice.
He sounded sinister as hell in everything he wanted to.
And he was very excellent at portraying villains. But, yeah, I mean, he was just a little part of everything. I mean, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, he's Willy Wonka's dad. He's Johnny Depp's dad. He's a dentist.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just... He popped up in everything.
Yeah. He's just everywhere here and there. He did some voice work for some things. I mean, death metal. I mean, come on. What 90-year-old person do you know records death metal?
I recommend anyone listening to go and seek out the Peter Jackson send-off. That was one that it about made me want to tear up. It was so touching because he talks about how, like, when I first met him, he was Sir Christopher Lee, and eventually he became my friend Chris. He was apparently just an incredible guy to talk to.
Yeah, as I say, he's one of those that every once in a while there's an actor out there. That kind of has, I guess, what you'd kind of call like the Heath Ledger effect was one of the first big ones you heard about, where everyone that ever worked with him or ever ran into him simply adored the man.
Yeah.
When Heath Ledger passed away, that was one thing that they were saying was, like, even ex-girlfriends, people he worked with in the past, even when he was like a child, all showed up. and were penning send-offs for him. And the same thing has been happening with Christopher Lee as time has gone on. We've seen more and more things being posted in memorial for him, and like it just seems like everyone that ever he ever encountered just simply loved the man. So he will definitely be missed.
And what a body of work to leave behind. I mean,
oh god,
it's just incredible acting roles.
He must have the longest IMDb page. I think he has his own server on IMDb.
Probably, but yeah, you will be missed, Sir Christopher Lee.
Go seek out any of his movies, any of them, please.
And it's not hard to find because he was in so many, and not even just random, off the wall roles, but major movies.
And he never did just one type of movie either. I mean, he's got some science fiction, he's got some fantasy, he's got some drama.
Horror.
He's got a lot of horror. He was known for a lot of horror movies. He even played Frankenstein in one of Hammer Horror's movies. So, yeah, go seek him out. Pay your tribute. And, yeah.
You will be missed, Sir Christopher Lee.
So, speaking of actors that are going to be missed, we've talked a little bit in the past about the Ghostbusters reboot and how I know I'm going to be labeled as misogynist, but it pisses me off that they're going all female cast.
I don't have an issue with them going all female. I have an issue with them thinking that they had to, in a way. That makes sense. Like
it's not the fact that it's all female cast, it's the way they're throwing it in my face.
I just don't want to have
it's everyone's like, we need more female superheroes, we need, and all that is true, but Ghostbusters has been, we have a female cast. Hey, you, did you hear we have a female cast? Hey, we have a female cast. They're all females, if you hadn't noticed, and it's just driving me insane.
And this was what I also wanted to point out, in that, okay, the movie Bridesmaids, for instance, is specifically female cast oriented, obviously.
Yes.
The original Ghostbusters is not a male specifically required cast, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like, it wasn't a plot point of them being men. So what I feel like they're going to do with this movie, and I'm all for, them having female Ghostbusters, but it's like you said, like they're throwing it in your face as if like, what we're going to have is not Ghostbusters, but Bridesmaids again. Just they happen to be Ghostbusters. You know what I mean?
I would actually kind of watch that movie, I think.
Well, that's what you're getting, dude.
But no, like it's just, I don't know. They're doing that, and to me, the other thing that pisses me off about it is they are going, all female cast, all female cast, all female cast, as if that somehow helps the fact that we need more women in Hollywood and more female superheroes and everything, as opposed to having like one or two really strong, really good female leads, and just intermixing. They feel like, oh, okay, we can just get them, we'll make the whole movie women, and I just feel like it's the most extreme answer you could have for the call for more women in Hollywood. But that's not the news article that we've been rambling about. The reason it's made it back in our news segment is because they recently announced another actor has joined up with the movie. And
the one dude in the movie. You remember how all the Ghostbusters were men and they had the female secretary? I guess it only makes sense if we have all women Ghostbusters. We have a male secretary, but the interesting thing was who? Jeff, tell us, who is the secretary?
That would be Mr. McDreamy Thor.
We have Thor as the secretary. Now, Chris Hemsworth has done, from what I've heard, I've never seen any of them, some things that are comedy oriented, and I heard like Cabin in the Woods is kind of like horror comedy.
Very much so.
I've never seen it, but this what the article I was reading was that this was basically him trying to step back into the world of comedy.
He's funny as Thor, honestly. Like he delivers his lines, in a lot of sequences. Like it's just his delivery with the voice, it's funny. So he has good comedic timing.
The thing though that I'm not going to be able to get over, he's going to be to me. He's going to be a Shakespearean secretary because I'm not going to be able. No matter what he says, I'm going to hear it,
Shakespearean.
No, in his defense, like, he doesn't sound anything like Thor when he just talks.
Yeah, no, he does not. In fact, it's quite shocking to hear him speak when he's not
because
Thor.
he is freaking Thor through and through in your brain now.
So,
but yeah, I mean, are you excited for the movie? Honestly, I mean, I'll probably watch it. I'm not near as much of a Ghostbusters fan as you. Mm-hmm. So this doesn't like hit my roots as much as it does you.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch it. I'm not really excited for it because, and again, not due to the female cast, but just due to the fact that it is not a franchise that particularly needs a reboot. It is a franchise that would lend itself very well to a sequel, or like kind of like they're doing Star Wars, say, with the passing of the torch between the old characters and the new characters. They could very easily have done something with that, and you could have had a mixed bag of like male and female Ghostbusters, and just made the characters really strong.
Yeah, how about Kristen Wiig, one of the other females they have, and Chris Pratt and Stanley Tucci? Would have been a fucking incredible movie.
Yes, it would have.
Yeah, that's our little in-joke, because we fan cast Stanley Tucci into every fucking movie.
We have a list of fallback actors we use for everything. But also, I totally fucked up our order. I realized that we discussed before this.
This is a first. We've never fucked up anything related to this podcast.
Oh, no, never.
Speaking of Chris Hemsworth and movies having to do with Marvel, Marvel is not appearing at Comic-Con this year.
And that is pretty much well known, but there's a very, very good reason why it made it into our news slate this week, and that is because this reason has been pissing us both off the more we read about it. Basically...
So stupid.
Exactly. That was it. That was the thing.
Next topic.
Basically, everybody... And when I say everybody, I mean anytime you Google Marvel not going to Comic-Con... Comic-Con. The response you get is their tails between their legs and they're running from DC because they cannot compete with DC's slate coming up, referring to Suicide Squad, Justice League Part 1, and Batman v Superman, which I totally said all three of those out of order.
They can't compete with the web series under Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I know. It's seriously like a serialized like web.
There's a whole bunch of Paul Blarts monitoring the Suicide Squad set.
But which is totally ridiculous. I have no idea why people are even reporting that.
We talked about this earlier off mic. The only reason they reported it is because it gets hits, because anything DC or Marvel, especially together, instant 500 million hits, whatever amount. So they knew it was horse shit. Because why the fuck? Fucking Ant-Man is about to come out, and even Ant-Man alone has probably more positive reception going on than any of the DC movies.
Yeah, and what does Marvel have to prove?
Absolutely.
What does Marvel have to be
Marvel
afraid
has
of?
so little to prove. There's an Ant-Man movie coming out, like I was just talking about. It was just ridiculous.
Well, even before that, I can see that over Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, took balls. Friggin'
Guardians of the Galaxy was all about, you'll watch our shit just because it has Marvel at the front.
Yeah.
I am a gigantic comic nut. I have never read a single Guardians comic in my life.
Dude, okay, let's look at this. Let's just think about this for a second. They've got Civil War coming up. Okay, they've got Daredevil Season 2 announcements to make. They've got all kinds of shit to talk about. There's Doctor Strange announcements that are coming up that they got to talk about. What do they have to be afraid of?
It was
literally.
It was just a bullshit rumor.
So, anyways, we wanted to point not only that out, but also the fact that they don't need Comic-Con. Why would you spend just a slight amount of time on stage that you have to share with DC and everybody else when you could go to Disney's D23, which is August 14th to the 16th, which is Disney's own version of Comic-Con that is all things Disney. People forget that Disney owns Marvel. They are part of the Disney universe. Okay, so...
And they have enough shit coming out to run their own con.
Exactly. So why share the stage when you could skip Comic-Con...
And own the stage.
And make all of your announcements. That's what's happening.
I hope those writers, at least most of them, knew that was horseshit and they were just doing it for hits. I really hope that wasn't a legitimate belief. But yeah, that is Disney's D23, which is going to be August 14th to the 16th. It looks like that's going to be basically a mini Comic-Con of just Star Wars and Marvel.
Yeah, they've got some other announcements. Like I'm sure they're going to talk about. They recently let Aladdin out of the vault. That's going to be on DVD and Blu-ray. I'm sure they have all kinds of, probably Frozen 2, and they're going to have all kinds of stuff, but
probably more on Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, and their live-action remakes of everything. But it is confirmed that Marvel and Star Wars are both taking the stage during the D23 Expo.
Oh yeah, that's their flagships now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, because, Disney... I mean, what has Disney really done? I mean, they've got no money or anything.
Oh, yeah, none at all.
So they really need this Marvel and Star Wars thing to work out if they want to survive.
But yeah, speaking of Marvel is actually no longer the box office champs. That pace has been taken over by Jurassic World, which made all of the money. It was originally slated for about 125 domestic expected, and it broke the all-time record of 208.
Yes.
Beat Avengers by 1 million.
Yes, suck it, Avengers, right?
Yeah. I'm pretty... What was that? You think that Chris Pratt went and rented out a couple of Cinemarks just to get that 1 million over the edge to win?
Yeah, no, dude, it was something. Even the people involved with Jurassic World were just totally blown away by the response. And, it makes sense. Everybody loves the original Jurassic Park. No matter what they think of the sequels, everybody loves the original Jurassic Park. And no matter what they thought of the trailer for this movie, you have to see it.
What it had going for it, everyone loves Jurassic Park, huge franchise. Everyone loves Chris Pratt right now. He is one of the most marketable guys at the moment because he's one of those actors who has yet to do anything bad.
Fuck the moment, dude. Because of Jurassic World, he's going to be all over the place.
He can pick whatever franchise he wants now, and I'm assuming, he was already signed on for multiple Jurassic Parks now.
Yes.
At least 2 more, I believe. And I wouldn't be shocked if, since, Disney's been trying to get Indiana Jones off the ground, he's going to be marketable enough to have Indiana Jones if he wants it.
It's already been rumored that they're eyeing Chris Pratt for Indiana Jones, which I've got mixed emotions about. I think he could pull that off.
I think he would be good. I think
the only thing I don't like is Indiana Jones is a little bit more serious. Than what he is.
Which if you can do comedy, that's the hardest acting to do.
Yeah.
Usually if you can pull off comedy, you can be a dramatic actor. Mm-hmm. Usually. We'd have to see it first. He's only been comedic so far.
I don't know if you've got to it yet or not, but one of the podcasts that we listen to, Fat Man on Batman with Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin, Mark Bernardin specifically mentioned that in Jurassic World, Chris Pratt is very Indiana Jones / Han Solo-ish.
Oh, yeah.
In the movie, because I just want to point out that Jeff and I have not seen this movie yet. We intended to.
We are the 2 people on the planet who have not paid to watch this movie.
We did not chip into that $524 million that it made worldwide opening weekend.
Yeah, first movie to ever gross more than $500 million in one weekend. That is just batshit.
But, yeah, he distinctly pointed out that his character is very, very Indiana Jones / Han Solo-ish. So, that would be a very positive sign if Mark Bernardin thinks he's Indiana Jones-ish and they're eyeing him, reportedly for Indiana Jones.
I love Chris Pratt. I love Indiana Jones. I'd be all over it.
This isn't in our notes, but did you see what Kevin Feige released on Twitter?
As regarding to what?
For congratulating Jurassic World on taking the trophy for number 1 big hit. That was freaking awesome. If you haven't seen it, look it up. It's Marvel's classy response to Jurassic World taking the number 1 spot ever. If you Google anything remotely similar to that, you will find it, or look up Kevin Feige on Twitter. But it is literally a picture of all the Avengers kind of scratching their head, staring at Chris Pratt riding the Indominus Rex or whatever the new dinosaur is, like cowboy style, like Dr. Strangelove riding the bomb, like waving the hat kind of thing.
And the T-Rex is holding Mjolnir, if you didn't notice that.
Yeah. So, it was pretty cool. That was very unexpected and pretty cool, and you have to wonder if it's because they love the movie so much or just because their own boy Chris Pratt was in the movie that it came out, because he is Star-Lord, and I was disappointed he was not dressed as Star-Lord on the back of the dinosaur.
Yeah, but they had to get it back to Jurassic Park in some way.
Yeah.
But for the rest of the news, we're probably going to do a little bit more lightning round approach, because we didn't mention at the top of the show, but we are doing E3 this week, which is
E3, man.
Notes for freaking days. So we're going to speed through the rest of the news a little bit.
Yeah, we're already 25 minutes in.
Yeah, we're going to have to really lightning round.
If you're still here, we'll be getting to the meat before long.
Eventually. But the next news article actually had to do with a Marvel-related character, but not actually Marvel Studios, and that is the Channing Tatum Gambit movie. Now has a director. His name is Rupert Wyatt, and he is most famous for Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Yes, and pretty much nothing else remotely similar.
Did he direct The Gambler? The movie was not bad, but it's not something that exactly hang your hat on, you know?
Yeah, apparently he did he did the pilot of Turn, if you've ever heard of Turn.
I have not.
Is that History Channel or something? I don't know.
Couldn't tell you.
But, yeah, I mean, nothing else remotely similar, just Rise of the Planet of the Apes. So, I could see that. I could definitely see them translating that over into something like in the X-Men universe.
I don't really like Channing Tatum as Gambit, to be honest.
I have mixed emotions about it.
I like Channing Tatum much more personally after the 21 Jump Street movies.
Still haven't seen him.
He has, I think, much better comedic timing.
Uh-huh.
I think he's a much better comedic actor than he is anything else. So
see, I feel like either Gambit's going to be a stripper. Right, he's got the staff. He could use it as a pole. Who knows? But
I did not make the pole connection until but now I can never look at that character the same. So go fuck yourself, Ron.
But here's the thing that it has going against it with Channing Tatum. It's Channing Tatum. The thing that's got going for it being Channing Tatum, in my mind, is Channing Tatum has said many, many times over that that's his favorite X-Men character. So he probably knows about the character. He probably reads the comics.
I believe he's one of the actors kind of like Vin Diesel, how he's kind of like, you know, a announced giant nerd.
Yeah.
So I can see that.
He's got the love for the character. He knows about the character. And then the other thing that I think he's got going for it slightly, and why I think he kind of leaped out in their mind for it, is if you imagine him dressed like Gambit, he would look a lot like Gambit out of the comics.
He's got like the eyes going for it. You know, Gambit always kind of has like the squintier eyes. Mm-hmm. I could see it a little bit. I don't know. It's just I think part of my problem too is like you were saying. Like,
I think he's got like the eyes and the forehead. Really.
Yeah, like how you can't differentiate Ben Affleck. I can't differentiate Channing Tatum that well because I haven't seen him do a role where he's kind of gone so far away from Channing Tatum where it's...
I'm not looking for him doing a Cajun accent.
Apparently he has like family ties to Louisiana where he can actually do it. That's what I've heard, but we'll have to see it. So maybe we'll get more about this at Comic-Con.
But I mean, and also that movie would be kind of fun because he is from the 21 Jump Street fame. He's probably going to have some good one-liners. He'll know how to deliver the lines.
Yeah.
So I mean,
we'll see. I mean, it's also being written by Joshua Zaturner. Is that his name?
Yeah, I had that as a negative on my list because if you saw the biggest thing he's done, you probably know is the most recent RoboCop.
Did you actually see RoboCop?
I did.
You did?
I did. Not a fan.
Did it piss you off? It didn't piss me off. I didn't think it was good, but it didn't piss me off.
But it definitely let me down.
It could have been a lot better.
I've never seen a movie that has so much happen and be so fucking boring at the same time.
They definitely...
The action was so dry and boring, and it's fucking RoboCop, man.
They definitely had potential for so much more because the cast was pretty ridiculous for the RoboCop movie.
So we've got Rise of the Planet of the Apes director... Yay. Channing Tatum, maybe. And RoboCop writer, So, I really don't know about this movie.
Also, it's a Marvel property not being ran by Marvel Studios. Historically, not so good.
Yeah, not so good. I mean, you're probably thinking about Wolverine, X-Men Origins Wolverine, right?
Well, I mean, Not only that, but like the Spider-Man movies are a little dated at this point. I mean, just kind of across the board. You know, most. I mean, we didn't look at them as negatively then because we hadn't been experiencing Iron Man and Avengers.
Yeah,
quality.
It was a pre-Marvel Studios world.
So
this was the best we're gonna get. Fucking deal with it.
I mean, honestly, if I had my hopes, that entire project would be scrapped and all of X-Men would be going over to Marvel Studios. So, but that's not gonna happen. So I don't know. We'll see.
Based on how this next news story goes, you could get some kind of contract between Fox and Marvel eventually. I'm of course referring to the Spider-Man Sony and Marvel agreement, which. Not going so well so far, sounds like.
Yeah, in other words, we are no longer going to report on what we think are confirmed articles until they're actually confirmed by Kevin Feige, because that was apparently...
Asa Butterfield got his Butterfield kicked out of being Spider-Man, it sounds like. The biggest story going around on why he's not Spider-Man, the reason they're giving, apparently, on why he's not Spider-Man is his violation of the non-disclosure agreement. Because I guess they hadn't actually announced him and he was talking about it. That's so far unsubstantiated on if that's actually why or not, because the rumors that are swirling on everything that like everyone is reporting, which also people reported that Marvel is afraid of DC, so who knows, is that Sony and Marvel cannot agree on who is going to be the next Spider-Man.
Which is very possible.
And if you remember, part of the agreement between them was that Sony gets to keep some of the creativity rights, some of the creative rights.
Sony probably at this point has much more control than Marvel does.
Probably. We know that it's going to happen because it has to. There's been too many press releases. They cannot back out of it now.
They'll figure it out because that equals a whole lot of dollar signs getting Spider-Man.
Sony has tried twice with 5 movies on Spider-Man. The smart thing to do, Sony, let Marvel figure it out.
Yeah, because we were talking about Jurassic World being number 1. 2 and 4, or 2 and 3 are both Avengers movies.
Yes.
So, yeah, they might want to get their shit together.
Yeah, so at this point, if I was Sony, I'd be like, you know what? You want that guy? Okay, we'll give you that. We'll let you have that guy. We approve.
If I was Sony, I would have given 90% control to Marvel and sit back and count my money.
Exactly, right?
So, I don't understand why and we like Andrew Garfield quite a bit, but the majority of people, I don't think we're that crazy about Andrew Garfield, so it's not like, and Tobey Maguire, it's not like they have a rich history of picking people for the character.
I am sad about Andrew Garfield, though, but that was a whole nother podcast we already did.
Yeah, and they have some more rumored casting choices popping up, which at this point...
I can't even find an IMDb for this one guy.
It was Tom Harlan and Charlie Plummer. It looks like they were looking at a bunch of British actors, because that's the thing they do with American superheroes now, is they just cast every Brit they can find. But I haven't seen anything any of the rumored Spider-Man casting choices have been in, so I honestly can't comment on the quality of the option. But
yeah, I found Charlie Plummer. But yeah, I don't know. It's not looking good.
We will see. I think, well, first of all, Civil War happens, the filming's already started, so they need to get their shit together if he's going to cameo, because that's been, I think even Marvel has announced he's going to cameo.
At the rate they're going, the cameo is going to be like just him web swinging in the background because they don't have a fucking actor.
We have casted the Spider-Man stunt double. But yeah, that's going to wrap up the movie section.
For the TV section, not a whole lot going on right now, movie-wise or TV-wise. That's why a lot of our movie news today was rumor. I'm going to assume it's because Comic-Con is going to be 3 weeks from Friday. And there's just not going to be much out there until we get to Comic-Con. So TV news, basically we just have Game of Thrones to talk about, which, holy shit. But we're not going to go into that because at the same time we're recording this podcast tonight, we will also be doing a commentary of the season finale of Game of Thrones, which, holy shit, So, after you get finished listening to us ramble about E3,
people listening to us, you're funny.
you can tune into that, and you'll be able to listen without watching it again. Or you can, we'll count you in, and you can start the episode with us and watch along with us if you'd like. We did this last time with Hard Home. That was our first commentary ever, actually.
And it was a blast. So we're going to do a lot more commentaries.
Yeah. You'll be getting a lot more from us, commentary-wise, in the future.
Whether you asked for it or not, fuckers.
We're going to ram it down your throat.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, you have to listen first.
Yeah.
Didn't see that coming. Touche, Internet.
And after the ending of our TV section, this is going to be all E3 from here on out. And it's going to be a whole lot of E3 lightning round because I went through and had to edit down E3 news articles, and we still have an ungodly amount to talk about. So this is going to be, from here on out, just shit tons of video gaming news.
You know, the good thing about it, too, is that most of it is just, oh, it looks cool. I mean, there was a lot of gameplay footage and stuff, but the thing that makes E3 this year, I feel like, really special is the amount of big name, big studio shit that was announced.
It's also the first time we've seen big name shit on the new consoles. Last year, there wasn't hardly anything.
It was all remakes.
Because they were all preparing, because most of the games are next-gen only, because there's so much programming required to just operate them that they couldn't make them cross-platform.
And let's not forget also another reason why this E3 is so special is it's our first E3 with this podcast. And
it's also, we're making up for not having any gaming news.
Holy hell.
Because this is going to be probably 2 hours of video game talk, but... what we're going to do is talk about the press conferences in chronological order and the order they were released, and it's mostly just the cliff notes. I don't have every news article that went over. It would have been way too much. We already have way too much news.
If we were going to do that, you might as well just watch the conferences.
Basically,
but the biggest stuff or stuff that interested us has made it in here.
And the first press conference was Bethesda, and the first game they showed was Doom.
Now, you said before that you weren't the biggest Doom player.
I've actually never played any of the games, and my only familiarity is with the movie.
So not a big Doom player.
You could say that.
So
I like Doom when it's Carl Urban.
Yeah, this is actually... fairly dear to me. I actually really enjoyed Doom. I haven't played one in a long time. Probably Doom 3. Was that the last one? I don't know. It's been a while. I'm so out of touch.
I think you're right. Lately. I think it was the third one.
I don't want to say Doom 3 was the last one. But anything in the Doom franchise, I'm also one of the few that liked the movie who also played the games. But, it is what it is.
It's Doom, but pretty.
It's accredited with the reason why this is going to be so great is they're basically remaking this game entirely from the ground up on the latest generation consoles, and it's the game that is accredited with defining the first-person shooter genre and making the entire genre what it is today. So we'll see how it does in today's world. That if you've ever played Doom, you need to check out the gameplay trailer because Jeff will back me up on this. I was fucking giddy the entire time. I mean, especially when he pulls out the chainsaw and just starts hacking things. I was just like, oh my god, it's so brutal and it is so violent and I should not be laughing, but this is fucking amazing.
That chainsaw looked pretty freaking sweet, man.
Like everything they did was just fucking amazing with that in that trailer. Brutality wise, and then there was the fucking dark as shit moment when he's watching like the recorded hologram of the monster that like ripped a scientist in half and like dragged another one off, and you had to follow the hologram to find out where to go.
Yeah, those guys had a bad day. Well, next up in the Bethesda conference, they announced Dishonored 2, which I'm pretty excited for. The first one is one of those kind of, what makes it cool is just the hundreds and hundreds of different ways you can murder people in creative and terrible but awesome ways. And the sequel is continuing that, but that's probably the thing we could probably cover all of the games right now with. The graphics on the next gen are beautiful. The in-game play is as good as the PS3 and Xbox 360 cinematics were now. It's just gorgeous the way they look. But yeah, Dishonored 2 especially looked just gorgeous as hell. The gameplay was taking it up a notch. They had that kind of shadowy type power they were introducing, where it was kind of replacing the teleport, but it looked like it also used as kind of like a grapple. I'm assuming you probably grapple things towards you with that, so they're mixing it up a little bit. But it was announced that you can play as the female character who is in the trailer, and also they are having the character from the first game back as a playable character. So I'm excited for it. You haven't played it, but you've been interested in it.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the cinematic trailers and stuff from the first one. And from what I heard about the gameplay and everything, it's pretty fun. I've heard people mock the plot a lot, but
that's not what makes it's not a game you play for plot, honestly. It's all about murder people.
Just murder.
Murder machine, which is
murder boner,
which is fine with me. And the biggest thing they had at the Bethesda conference, I should say, is Bethesda. Was Fallout 4
These fuckers can't even get the company's names right.
Screw them. Fallout 4 got its first demo released, in place of just the cinematic trailer we'd seen before, and they didn't have a whole lot as far as the combat, but they did introduce a new mechanic where basically you can build a town from the ground up, and depending on how well you structure your buildings and everything, actually attracts other people in the wasteland. So you kind of build up your own little city. And the more popular it is, and the more people you have, the more bandits it attracts. So it's almost a little like Road Warrior. You're trying to guard your little village. So that sounded interesting. But yeah,
that is interesting.
I'm really excited for Fallout 4. I probably not have any time to play it because we don't have time to play video games.
We're too busy reporting on all the shit to play any of the shit.
I mean, I'm too busy, staying maintained on all of the 20 superhero TV shows out there to be able to play video games. But yeah, that's that was the major highlights from Bethesda. So we're gonna move on to the next press conference, which was our favorite company ever, Microsoft.
Yay!
So this is especially gonna be the one where it's like, hey, this sounds cool. We're never gonna fucking play it. But first up
was never gonna fucking play it. Halo 5 footage was shown.
Halo 5 looks cool. That's more Halo.
All right.
Actually, the one noteworthy thing about Halo 5 is that Nathan Fillion is going to be one of the voices of the playable characters.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. But other than that, I won't be playing it.
Now, this next one, though, is kind of near and dear to me also, which I think you said earlier you never played. But Rainbow Six Siege was announced.
And the gameplay was pretty sexy. It looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, they actually had a gameplay trailer at E3, not just any cinematics. And I love Rainbow Six. I've been playing Rainbow Six since the Nintendo 64.
I wasn't aware you were that into it.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty fun. And the interesting thing about one of the announcements they made is that it's going to be shipping out with both Rainbow Six Vegas games.
3 games for the price of 1. That's a hell of a deal.
That is.
Especially when those are some beloved games from the last gen. I've always wanted to play the Vegas games, but haven't gotten to. So that's a great incentive to... Because, we were talking about earlier... I have a hard time justifying paying $65 with the tax for a video game, but knowing I'm getting this badass new game plus 2 older games, that's a great deal.
Yeah, that's pretty fantastic.
Hopefully that's for PS4 as well, because I'm a little worried that was just the Microsoft conference, so
right.
I don't have an Xbone, so that would suck if it's only that one, but
right.
we'll find out.
Yeah, no, you really need to check out the gameplay, the E3 gameplay trailer if you haven't already seen it, because it looks fucking fantastic. Especially when the guy blows the hole in the floor.
Yeah,
take it to the terrace behind him.
The entire house is destructible,
and it gets destructed
in glorious fashion.
Yes. So speaking of glorious, Rise of the Tomb Raider gameplay trailer was released.
We don't need to be able to talk. We only have another podcast required for this one.
Rise of the Tomb Raider gameplay trailer. I mean, who thought that was a good idea to write that down?
Hey,
Jeff?
maybe the incredible, editor who was compiling all the notes. Maybe he thought it was a good idea. Dick.
But you're the E3 correspondent, Jeff.
Special E3 correspondent, Ron.
But no, a lot of people were somewhat upset,
pissed off.
Because the initial teaser trailer, which it was a teaser trailer. But anyways, that's
how dare they only tease in the teaser trailer?
Exactly. But it was all cinematic, pre-rendered footage, and a lot of people weren't happy about that, which I guess is a good thing because they wanted to see more. Is generally why they weren't happy. So, but the gameplay trailer looked pretty sweet.
What it is they kind of took Tomb Raider and they made it more grounded and they made it kind of like Uncharted-ish. Like it's Uncharted in the way the gameplay works a little bit, but it's not the same tone. It's a little more serious than Uncharted is. But the second one, I mean, especially that one, that was one that really looks beautiful, and the way the snow particles work and everything.
Oh yeah,
like the fine detail they're able to do with the
snow particles. That's the memorable part of tonight's broadcast.
I fucking hate you. It looks fantastic. I love the first game. It's another game added to your list of 500 you need to get caught up on, because that was one of my favorite games of the last couple of years to come out.
I've never actually played a Tomb Raider game, and the last one, the reboot, really, really got me interested in it. Because, I mean, Lara Croft in the original Tomb Raiders was like the impossible, like, never die, like, superhero type character that never even takes a scratch or a wound or anything.
Yeah.
And they really, she's like the ultimate badass and everything. And in the reboot, they totally, just made her more human.
Yeah,
in her personality, and they fuck her up.
She actually kind of has like Walking Dead style character development, like the way she's reacting and growing and having to adapt to the people around her.
Yeah,
it's interesting, and they didn't have to do that for that game. That was
Lara Croft had no character at all. Yeah, in the original.
I had never played a Tomb Raider game until that one. It totally sold me. So it was not only a good reboot as far as continuing it for fans, getting a new experience with it, but like a good jumping on point. I jumped onto it. I'm really excited for the second one. I'll be getting it.
And once this one comes out, the first one should be pretty damn cheap, so I'll be jumping on too.
Yep.
So moving on, Dark Souls 3. Apparently it's coming out early next year. We had a cinematic look at it, here at E3, but as if we're on location. Here at E3. Live on location in the studio looking at E3. But yeah, looks cool. I've, once again, another game I have never played.
This is one I'm actually from, like one of the 3 games I'm actually somewhat caught up on. I've played Demon Souls and Dark Souls 1 and 2, which I say that because it's a fucking accomplishment to beat any of those games. But the third one was the trailer for the third one is basically typical Dark Souls fashion. Just like look at our.
Is Dark Souls the one you said you wanted to watch me play because it's going to punch me in the dick?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And I'm gonna enjoy every second of you breaking every controller you have. Because like Dark Souls are the games where it's intentionally hard as hell.
Play the game and extra controllers, Jeff.
It was the first game I've beaten since I was like 5, where I was like legitly proud of myself for just beating the video game. But yeah, the trailer was just cinematic. It was just basically showing off more of what I like about the games, and that's their creepy character design.
Yeah. That I do know about, and I will congratulate them on that.
The random enemies that populate like the early levels of Dark Souls have more creativity than the bosses of every other game. Yeah. Like their character design is beautiful and macabre and just gorgeous.
And we're talking next gen consoles.
Oh yeah.
Can we stop calling them next gen? Can we start calling them current gen, please?
Well, it's probably going to take us 5 years to quit calling them next gen. We want to make them sound cooler.
They won't be until the actual next gen that we start
probably.
So yes, and then Gears of War 4 was announced.
Hooray! More Gears of War, which I liked the first 2 back when I had a 360. The third one, I played a little bit of it. It's kind of like Halo in that it's more Gears of War. Everyone will buy it. Everyone will play it religiously, right. But it's just not my thing. I never got into it that much.
So Yeah, basically, good for them.
Hooray.
Gears of War.
We sound so fucking patronizing. Go, good for you. That wasn't the only news, though, to come out of the conference, and that was
this one I will give them.
This was... It kind of blew my mind. I wasn't expecting this even a little bit, but they announced that the Xbox One will be totally backwards compatible for 360 games this holiday, and in un-Microsoft fashion at no extra charge. They totally could have charged you $50 freaking for that function,
and people
everyone would have paid it.
Yep.
But what they're doing is they realize how bad Don Matrick fucked up their launch. And if you're going to compete
sank in.
If you're going to compete with PS4, that's a genius way to do it, because I don't think Sony was prepared for that either, because
they weren't. And my understanding is the reason for, is it PlayStation Now, their streaming service or whatever?
Yeah.
My understanding was the whole purpose behind that is because the hardware changes from the PS3 to PS4. It's actually incapable of being backwards compatible.
Yeah, because if you remember,
because the graphics processor and everything totally changed.
If you remember, a lot of the porting going back between PS3 and the 360
was a nightmare.
Because Bethesda, the Skyrim guys, they didn't have Skyrim out on PS3 working correctly for a long time because it was so different. So that's probably
that wasn't a major game release at all.
No, that wasn't. Probably the biggest seller of the last gen. But yeah. If we are going to shit on Microsoft every time they do something dumb, which is 98% of the time, we have to give them props for that. That was a
bravo,
genius fucking
in a very non-patronizing way. Bravo. I was totally shocked.
I was shocked, and that is probably enough to get them back up even with PS4, because with PS4 not being able to do that,
they finally dropped the fucking Kinect, didn't they? So they dropped the Kinect, which means
I believe it's still $350. I think it's still cheaper too.
Yeah, so that's got a lower price point. They dropped the fucking Kinect requirement, and now we're going to be backwards compatible with 360 games.
Yeah, whoever is now in charge of the Xbox One,
they're dangerous.
Good fucking job, because after all the shit Don Matrick did, we have an offline system, and that's the Xbox 360.
Yeah.
Shit like that was said.
Yes.
So, bravo for them doing damage control, because that was a brilliant move. But they had one more announcement at the Microsoft conference.
Speaking of Microsoft making brilliant moves, here's an example of them not making a brilliant move.
They announced a partnership with the other VR, Valve's VR. And they also, what did they demo? Minecraft, it looks like, with the HoloLens. And HoloLens is basically them trying to be like Tony Stark with their technology.
Since no one can actually see us, I'm just gonna let everyone know I am literally shaking my head at this moment.
They couldn't get Kinect or Windows 8 to work. Let's make Tony Stark technology.
Right?
Nothing bad can happen. Come on, guys.
It was just unbelievable sure, in theory, it was kind of cool. Totally useless and impractical, but kind of cool.
I also remember Kinect actually working when they demoed it on the E3 press conference.
And it didn't work for shit.
3 years later, even on the next console, the Xbox One, the Kinect didn't work. Even the basic voice commands didn't work the majority of the time.
Aaron Paul got them to work.
he's the one person.
His for those of you that don't know what I'm referring to, the Xbox One commercials with Aaron Paul, which was Jesse Pinkman on Breaking Bad. His commercials, somewhere in the commercial, he turns on his Xbox One by saying Xbox on, and everyone who owned an Xbox, their Xbox would turn on at that exact moment. So yeah, it was pretty funny because everyone was calling for them to pull that damn commercial because they couldn't stand it anymore.
All right, I think we spent enough time talking about Microsoft.
Thank God.
We're going to move on to EA, our other favorite company. Hooray! But they actually do have a couple of...
The king of microtransactions.
They have a couple of badass titles coming out that I'm excited for. The first one was they launched Mass Effect with an ingenious trailer that started out with, was it a Johnny Cash song and like a Western background?
It basically was very reminiscent of Red Dead Redemption or something.
You have no idea what it is.
Yeah.
And they kind of slowly... tease that it's a more sci-fi based game, and then it's Mass Effect because they
boom.
Yeah, they announced that it's Mass Effect Andromeda, which is coming out holiday 2016. You had no introduction to Mass Effect. Pretty badass trailer, though, I think you'd say.
That was a pretty badass trailer. I actually recently found a freaking awesome deal on the original trilogy.
The greatest deal I've ever heard of.
$4.80
for all three of the Mass Effect games. You got like 100 potential hours of gameplay for $5.
Damn straight it
on
did.
Good games. So.
Yeah. So, I was already planning on jumping into those, but those are probably going to be the next thing I jump into after that trailer. That was a pretty cool trailer. It was all cinematic teaser trailer. Probably none of that is even rendered in the game at all.
But it was cool.
It was cool. And I have to applaud the effort behind the trailer and the way they did the trailer. This next one is very dear to Jeff. Jeff has been waiting for this for a while. Like the heavens parted and the angels were singing.
I'm going to need a moment to collect myself. Just continue.
This one is, you might have heard of this franchise before. It's a little indie game called Star Wars Battlefront.
Yeah. I'm still collecting myself. You continue.
I'm going down in flames, Jeff.
They released gameplay for Star Wars Battlefront, and it is the shit.
It was pretty cool. Now,
and you don't even like online multiplayer.
I was gonna say, I'm on record for not liking online multiplayer, like Call of Duty or anything like that. And I don't know. I will probably end up buying this game and playing it. I probably won't be happy about playing it online. But
the big announcement with it too was they announced that they also have a zombie horde mode, which is like your favorite. You know,
the only reason I buy any Call of Duty game is the zombie mode. I don't play anything else on them.
That was a big deal,
except for the first mission, because that's how you have to fucking unlock most of the zombie modes.
Yeah, that's a pain in the ass.
First mission,
but they previously this was only going to be multiplayer online. It wasn't going to be any zombie mode or horde mode, anything else along with it. So that was a pretty big announcement. You know, big surprise, because they could have launched that with just multiplayer and made $1 billion because it's amazing.
Oh, yeah. And you know, it's a game that is basically built around that anyway. It really doesn't need anything. I mean, whether you need to write a story for Star Wars, I mean, you don't need any of that.
It would have been, most likely it would have been shitty.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, but yeah, I mean, but what was cool about it is like they're not doing
everything Star Wars.
What they're doing is they're not doing anything you haven't done in a Star Wars game before, but they're doing it all at the same time. Like in the trailer, you know, they have dogfights, the TIE fighters, and X-Wing.
You've got your Rogue Squadron, you've got your Battlefront, you've got your
TIE fighter.
Yeah, what was the RTS StarCraft like when they did? It's got elements of that in it.
Yeah,
it's got elements of like every Star Wars video game franchise
and
tossed in all at once.
And the Luke and Vader combat's kind of like Jedi Knight Academy a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's got everything at the same time. I can't wait to play it. I'm worried that since it's from the Battlefield guys, it's gonna be broken for a month. But after that month passes, I will be playing it because it looks just so much fun.
But I mean, you gotta also applaud the fact that it is also from the Battlefield guys, because at the same time, because of the world of first-person shooters that's dominating the market today, it's basically Call of Duty and Battlefield.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like this is a company that hasn't done this before.
No. Yeah.
So
yeah, even to get your attention a little bit, you know, it was a big deal because you hate online multiplayer.
I really don't care for it, but
I just want to be in that AT-AT, Ron.
And you know, and it also doesn't help that I don't know anyone that really owns any video game consoles or plays any video games that much.
We don't play video games.
we don't play video games that much either anymore. But you know, knowing that you're going to go out and buy it is probably going to help me go out and buy it.
Yeah, cause, I mean, that's the biggest thing too, is if you don't have anyone to play online multiplayer with, oh my god, it's awful.
I get real tired of hearing all these little, like, 12-year-old shits tell me what they did with my mom last night, you know? I'm like, if you met my mom, number one, she would twist your head off just for saying that. So, you know, I don't know. But one thing I want to applaud, this is something that's going away, and this is something that I love, but they've got split-screen co-op. They got split-screen multiplayer, don't they?
Which was another thing. Yeah, they do. Which they did not have to have.
No, they did not have to have.
At all, because most people are not doing that anymore.
Because the only way I get to play with anyone I know, since no one buys video game consoles that I know really, is they're sitting on my couch. So if I don't have split-screen, I can't play with anyone. So
I just, Ron, I want to be in that AT-AT.
I know you do. I will be in the Snowspeeder.
I'm gonna orbital strike you in that AT-AT. I'm gonna record it.
That sounded like you were coming on to me.
How do you know I wasn't?
Star Wars term.
How do you know I wasn't?
Oh, why wouldn't you be?
We're gonna move on now. we had.
I dare say it's getting warm in here. I have no idea what that was.
That has to be the cold open to some future episode. But
okay, now I want to promptly say fuck you, Jeff, because the entire reason this next story is in here is because you know of my hatred for the original. But go ahead and tell the fine listeners why I build up my rage.
The last EA press conference note that we have to talk about is the sequel to Mirror's Edge, Ron's favorite game of all time. Which, to be fair, didn't you only play the demo?
I've seen gameplay footage as well and Let's Plays, but hands-on experience, yes.
Okay.
I just played the demo. But, I mean, what the fuck, really? I don't understand. Everybody loves that game.
I've never played it. I have no comment, so I honestly don't know what to say.
It's just one of those things I don't understand. Everybody loves that game, and there's nothing lovable about that game, and everybody wanted a sequel. And for the longest time, even the company's like, why do you want a sequel?
Even the company was like, dude, that game blew ass.
And they finally gave them their sequel. So, I guess congratulations, fans of Mirror's Edge. But, I mean, it's just parkour. There's really no point to it. You're not really even running from anybody. You're not really doing anything.
Well, to be fair, that one might have been that way, but that trailer did look pretty cool.
The trailer looked really cool, but so did the trailer and, the demo trailer all looked cool for the first one.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
Because I was totally on board. I was like, fuck yes, let's do this. Oh my god, yes, they have a demo. I can't afford to go out and get the game yet. I'll play the fucking demo over and over until I get the game. The demo really let me down. And then I looked up Let's Plays, and this is probably around the time those were first starting on the internet. And it was the most ridiculous thing. Now, one thing though I think that was born from that though is it Dying Light? That's the parkour zombie game.
Yep.
Yeah, I really want to fucking play that game. Something actually happens in that game. There's actually a point to that game.
It looked, well, this is a little bit of a foreshadowing topic, but I think it has more going on than No Man's Land. But that's for a later topic. That's the end of EA, and from here on out, we've already hit our hour mark, so we need to actually lightning round for the first time after the
lightning.
So we're gonna run through Ubisoft real quick, and the first one was Assassin's Creed Syndicate had a cinematic trailer that was pretty sexy, I might say.
I really enjoyed that trailer. I recommend looking it up. I also recommend keeping in mind that Assassin's Creed doesn't have bad trailers, but they have been known to have a bad game or two.
Unity.
Yeah. So,
no, just bad game. Let's just hope it works.
Yeah. See, I don't know that Unity was actually a bad game, and I don't think anyone knows. No one could play it.
Yeah, it's a little hard to figure out if the game's good or not when you I heard people having to restart missions 5 times because they kept falling through the map.
Yeah.
But yeah. They really need to knock that one out of the park. Why don't you guys do a little more QA on that one?
Well, I really think
lightning round's working beautifully so far.
I really think that they're probably going to be more careful because it's really the cash cow franchise for them.
Yeah, because Watch Dogs didn't work out so well.
I mean, imagine Nintendo fucking up Pokemon, which in my opinion they have, how they would fix it real fucking quick. I feel like that's going to be this game.
And the next up in the Ubisoft section was maybe, other than Uncharted Arkham, maybe the game I'm most excited for. And I think the best trailer of the whole conference was the South Park one because they announced the next South Park RPG, and I love how they totally make fun of all of the industry and
to their fucking faces
at E3. They make fun of pre-ordering.
And they can fucking do it because they're South Park.
Yeah,
bitch.
They don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And the big announcement was this is no longer a fantasy RPG, it's a superhero RPG, which works because they have the Coon and they have Mysterion. Yeah. They have all the little superhero alter egos already, so it's going to be incredible.
Shit, guys, we're in the wrong game. Everyone takes your superhero suits.
It looked hilarious. Definitely watch that trailer if you haven't seen it.
Oh God, yes, please do.
And speaking of one of the other better trailers from the con too, that was Ghost Recon Wildlands. That was.
Did you just say the con when talking about EA? No, wait, we're on Ubisoft. Never mind.
Yeah, and I've never played Ghost Recon. Do you have any familiarity with Ghost Recon at all?
Some.
I've never played any of them. This trailer makes me want to buy this one opening day.
I was going to say, the reason why I only have some experience is because everything I've seen from them, they didn't look like bad games, but they didn't particularly appeal to me.
This one looks badass, though. For whatever reason, we were talking earlier, why have there been more games about like going after drug cartels? That seems kind of like an obvious thing with so many FPSs.
That seems like that should be like the cliche by now.
Yeah, like... It's very odd that that's the first time I can actually think of that being like a plot point.
But yeah, I mean, it looks a lot like, the Mad Max game meets Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Is what it looks like to me.
It looked, and, great song choice for it, very cinematic. Like you were saying, like it was almost like a movie at one point. But yeah, looking forward to that one definitely. And... that's going to conclude the...
We're such Sony fanboys, and I think we have the most stories for Sony.
Yeah, most likely. Hey, to be fair, we had a lot of Microsoft ones, which we shat on.
Yeah.
To be fair, but yeah, the next conference up was Sony, and they opened it up with probably the most shocking announcement of the entire E3 series of press conferences, and that was the announcement of The Last Guardian, which. You have no familiarity with Eco or...
It's funny how many stories start out with that, with you saying that.
You have no familiarity with all of the games we've... So you've heard of this...
Do you even game, bro?
So you've heard of this video game.
Bro, do you even game?
So you've never played any of them, but Shadow...
Any games or any of them? Any of the Shadow
you have played SNES, I will grant you that. But... you haven't played Shadow of the Colossus or Eco, so you have no idea what I'm talking about. But Shadow of the Colossus...
No, I've never seen this Airbender ripoff until...
I'm pretty sure this actually predates Airbender.
Does it really?
Because...
it's still an Airbender ripoff, I'm sorry. This game comes out after, so...
Well, touche, but it's very Shadow of the Colossus. Shadow of the Colossus is like one of the most beloved games of the last probably 15 years. Mm-hmm. And people have been wanting this freaking game to be announced, the next spiritual successor, for literally a decade. And they've been waiting to the point...
Sounds like Blizzard.
It became a video game myth, pretty much. Like,
there's like fuzzy photos of it in the woods.
Pretty much. And it's a big deal when they open the Sony conference on it.
That's true.
It's a big fucking deal.
And good news for fans of that game franchise, because Sony gets it too.
Yeah, and so people were...
That they led with that.
People at the conference were losing their goddamn minds at that one, because they even joked about it on Rage Select, another site we follow on their podcast. They're like, Last Guardian, that shit's never happened, and you're fucking high. And it got announced. It looks great. I'm excited for it. I actually played a game, unlike Ron. I played Shadow of the Colossus. It's a great game.
I play game.
I play occasional game.
I play game.
And I'm excited for that one. And speaking of excitement... Destiny, woohoo!
More Here's Destiny. The way to kill excitement.
I actually put in the notes, Destiny DLZ.
Yeah, so Destiny's getting some DLC.
More lack of plot. Hooray! I don't care.
Yeah, so
moving on.
I guess bravo to Destiny.
Good for you.
Good for you. Black Ops 3.
More Call of Duty. Hooray!
Yeah, I only buy the Black Ops games for the zombie mode, and
it's more Call of Duty.
I'll be watching some Let's Plays before I buy this one, because Black Ops 2 zombie mode kind of let me down. They really sold Transit, and Transit was not as good as they sold. I feel like I should demand a partial refund, like on the Vita.
I don't know why they had 5 minutes of Black Ops 3 gameplay, because it's fucking Call of Duty. If they don't have a draw like Kevin Spacey to talk about, why are they talking about it?
If it just mysteriously appeared in stores without any trailers or announcements, it would sell. And
it would be one of the top 5 best-selling on the market.
So, more Call of Duty. Check it out if you're into that thing, into that kind of thing. It's online multiplayer.
It's more Call of Duty.
We already know where I stand on online multiplayer.
Yeah.
I'll be checking out zombie mode possibly, but...
if it looks good, yeah.
Moving on.
Moving on. Next one up is Hitman. Hitman looks prettier. It looks like Hitman. That's about all I can say about it.
It looks like it plays like Hitman. That trailer is pretty sweet, actually.
That trailer is pretty murder boner inducing,
Yes.
Because like you said, the same target gets killed like 12 times in the trailer.
The same target, like 12 different ways. Pick your poison.
Very, very cool trailer, though.
In fact, one of them is poison.
The ending with the chandelier was incredible.
That's the most brutal way that
Agent 47, he's a dick, man. Like he could just
douchebag.
He could just headshot you and you'd never know. He's dropping a chandelier on your head. He wants you to know that it was him.
It's like, now you're just showing off. God damn it.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely check out that trailer. Highly recommend that trailer. I've never played a Hitman game, but I have followed them. So I'll probably be playing that one.
I like the movie.
Hitman 47 looks good.
Yeah,
but that's a whole nother show.
It does.
Street Fighter 5, Woot.
Hooray! I don't like fighting games. That's I don't care.
Online multiplayer for me is fighting games for you.
The last fighting game I played that I liked was Street Fighter 2 on the SNES. I just totally lost interest in them for whatever reason.
If you're not counting Smash Brothers,
I don't. I think that's its own thing.
It's probably, which I agree, it does not play like any fighting game out there. I guess it would probably be Soul Calibur 4?
Or is that like PS2?
Yeah. It's the one that had, like, I think, ironically enough, a Street Fighter guy for PlayStation. It had a Link for, what was it, GameCube? Which I wanted, but I never owned a GameCube, so I couldn't play it if I had it. I could now. I have a Wii.
Fighting game fans rejoice. I'm not one of those, so good for you. we have made fun of Christian Bale so many times in this episode.
So, speaking of disappointments...
Disappointed.
And good for you. No Man's Sky. Moving on. Okay. When this game was originally announced, I even sent you the link to it. It's like, oh my god, dude, this looks amazing.
And by all rights, it should, except for they went out of their way to make their game so big and, look at how huge our map is, that they forgot to include a game within the map.
Yeah.
There is not shit to do.
The only thing they said over and over, the only comment they ever made was the size of the game.
They literally took a minute of their 5-minute demo to zoom out to show the size of the game.
Yeah.
That is not a good sign.
That is not a good sign
at all. And especially when the most exciting thing that happens, is the space combat. And after watching Battlefront, it's like
pew pew pew.
It's as much excitement as like Flappy Bird.
It was
by
like
comparison.
It was first person flying a spaceship, but it played more like Retro Galaga.
No, dude, Galaga's more intense than that shit. Galaga has stakes, motherfucker. Don't you talk shit on Galaga.
I wasn't talking shit on. I was talking shit on No Man's Sky. We're talking PS4, and the space combat was a little bit like Retro Galaga.
Yeah, that's true.
It was. I mean, it was a pretty game. It was a very pretty game.
It had a cool art style. Too bad there's nothing to see with the art style.
There's nothing to see, nothing to do.
Like the freaking developer was like, I'm going to click this random planet. I hope something interesting's happening.
He literally says that.
Yeah. And he's like, I don't like.
It was like 6 minutes of nothing, and then he's like, well, and he sounded like the most uninterested person in the room as he's even demoing it. And when he's done, he's like, well, that's it. I hope you give it a try. And the audience didn't know if they should clap or not. It was like
it was like a pity clap, like you said, because
that's right. I said it first, fucker.
This podcast is going to just devolve into us like hurting each other at some point. But yeah, they spent so much time making their game huge, they forgot to make a game. That's pathetic to me. Because did anything in that trailer look appealing to you even a little bit? No.
Not really, no.
If anything, they killed sales by demoing it even.
The concept is appealing, but if you actually watch the trailer, and I encourage you to so you know not to waste your money on it.
Yeah. What I said was, I think the concept of, I believe it's procedurally generated, that's how they're kind of able to make it so huge.
Right.
I think that concept is going to be used for like a Mass Effect title, 5-6 years from now, which is going to blow our minds because that game has story. Yeah. What this was kind of like Minecraft in space. You just go have fun, do whatever you want. Yeah. And it has no appeal to me because I like a narrative
Yes. So, or fuck, at least something. Star Wars Battlefront was so much more interesting. I'm not even interested in that kind of game, and I plan to buy it. And then they showed us fucking No Man's Sky. I'll tell you why it's No Man's Sky. No one's fucking playing the game. There's no one in the sky.
All right, we're gonna leave that one as the end note for that one. So,
oh god, you're trying to raise my blood pressure in this, this episode.
I should have dropped down Mirror's Edge just to talk about it next to this.
Okay. I am going to go on record right now that I'm probably the only person on the planet that is not excited about a Final Fantasy VII remake, which was announced. Not that I'm not excited for it, but that it was announced. They are doing it. Oh God, please. Oh God, no. Why are you doing it?
Which, to be fair, you are only going to be pissed if they try to remake the game. If it's just an up-res...
They can't leave it alone, though.
Yeah, you're
I'll tell you right now, we're too far from Final Fantasy VII. And
wait, when did Final Fantasy VII come out? Like,
fuck,
almost 20 years ago at this point, right?
I mean, probably. Yeah, because I mean, it was PlayStation 1, probably one of the early games on it too. Yeah, no, dude, what was Final Fantasy 6 and then 7 on PlayStation 1, I think. Yeah,
late 90s. At some point,
mid to late 90s, probably. So, it was pretty.
It was gorgeous.
Now Jeff had no idea what he was watching because he doesn't like Final Fantasy VII or any Final Fantasy.
I was watching the Sony conference, and they just had the logo come up, but didn't have the name. I didn't know what they were showing until the guy said Final Fantasy VII. I was like, oh, they're remaking that. I need to tell Ron.
Yeah, if you've ever seen Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, the movie that takes place 2 years after the game, the music from the movie is the music in the game, which is fucking fantastic. And it was amazing. They show you all kinds of cinematic shots of Midgar and everything, but it's gotta be bad. Because if they just upgrade the resolution and the audio, yeah. Maybe even have voice actors. Maybe the ones from the movie.
That would be cool. That would be
fantastic. Yeah. But they're not. It's going to turn into Final Fantasy 13 or...
So when this game comes out, I can watch you play it? I want to watch you break your controller.
See, that's going to be the bad thing, too, is I'm going to buy it.
Oh, yeah, you're going to buy it. You're going to pre-order it, probably.
No. I wouldn't go that far, Jeff. And they're probably going to DLC the hell out of it, too. I might wait for like a Game of the Year edition. But, yeah, what they're going to do is they had a game come out called Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core for the PSP, and what they did combat system-wise and with the spell system, which I'm not going to go into detail because we're already at 76 minutes.
Lightning round.
But what they did worked in Crisis Core because it was not the original game. And I feel like they're going to smush that into Final Fantasy VII, and we're probably... They're just going to try to upgrade it like, you remember this game you love? Well, now it's perfect. When the people that love that game will tell you it's already fucking perfect, and it is the game that was made. Not just a game, but the game. And they're just going to fuck it.
You asked why they made it, and that's because... you think 99% chance it's going to suck and you are buying it regardless.
Yep.
That game is going to make so much money.
Yep.
It is going to be sad how much money they make off that.
To tell you the truth, I was not surprised that they were doing it because...
They've been teasing it for freaking ever.
They've been flat out telling people too that it's never going to happen, that they have no plans to do it, what you knew was total bullshit, because they did Final Fantasy X. If you're going to do Final Fantasy X... it's the most reminiscent one of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, why would you not do your flagship one?
Why would you not do the flagship Final Fantasy? Yeah. So, and they've been trying to recreate that game ever since that game. So, what better way to recreate that game than to fucking recreate the game? So, yeah.
Yeah, we have one more game to talk about, though, from Sony, and that was Uncharted 4, which...
Speaking of games that look like movies...
Oh, dude,
That trailer, it was the gameplay trailer too.
That was all gameplay.
It was all gameplay. It looks
like a freaking movie.
It was fucking fantastic.
They also had, I don't think you saw it because you didn't watch the actual conference though, their demo broke when they first started playing.
Did it really?
It was like the most awkward thing because you know how he starts walking through the crowd?
Yeah.
They start the demo, and I don't know if it was a controller malfunction or like the thing bricking, but like the game was still going, but he couldn't move. So during the middle of the E3 press conference, they had to reboot it real quick to get back up to the point, and it worked. But luckily, they had like one of the most badass gameplay trailers ever,
Right.
because it more than made up for it breaking, because it was amazing.
Yeah, no, totally did not get to see that.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. It was sad.
But yeah, definitely check out the gameplay trailer for this game. Please check it out.
Was that the very first introduction to Uncharted you've had? Was that trailer?
No, I've played some of the demos. I've told you quite a bit about the Vita demo.
Okay.
Probably one of the very few things I've ever played on my Vita. And it was supposed to be, there's a big controversy around that. That's a whole nother podcast. It was supposed to be the flagship game for the Vita, and it totally pissed off everyone.
Oh, yeah.
So, and they fucking charged like $10 more for it than they ever did any other game for the Vita, too, because they knew.
Yeah.
But, no, definitely, I mean, people are going to buy it anyway because it's Uncharted. That's a very popular franchise, but please check out that trailer.
It was so good.
Especially in anticipation for the movie that'll hopefully get off the ground eventually.
Should at some point.
Especially after that trailer, after that game.
And
so, speaking of other shit like No Man's Sky that no one cares about, the Nintendo conference.
Yeah, this is going to be the ultimate lightning round because we are not going to play any of these games most likely because... Do you even have a 3DS?
Nope.
Neither of us have a Wii U. I have a 3DS. I'm not entirely sure where my 3DS is. It's probably a good sign about how into this.
I'll tell you why. It got to the point that I was only buying the handhelds for Pokemon.
And you don't like Pokemon anymore.
And then they turned Pokemon into Digimon. And I stopped giving a shit. And if you don't know what I'm referring to, because I feel like I'm getting old, I'm referring to the Mega Evolutions. That's basically Digi-Evolutions.
So that was the deal breaker for you?
That was one of the biggest deal breakers. That, and I'm sorry, but there's 151 Pokemon, motherfucker. I mean, I know by the time they did Platinum, it was like 492.
Oh, it's something insane. Yeah.
And we're up to like, and Rage Select actually said like now, like he just noticed that they're up to like 400 and he said, fuck that. No. It was 492 on Platinum. So they're up to like 500 or 600 something.
Jesus Christ. But I don't know how we got that far off topic, but back to the Nintendo.
Because that's the most interesting thing we can talk about, and Nintendo didn't even mention it.
Yeah, that's a good point. The major thing they announced was Super Mario Maker, which is what Wii U. So 5 people are going to play it. Mm-hmm. Hooray! Yay, Phil! The next one was Star Fox Zero. Hooray, Phil!
I actually like Star Fox Zero. Not Star Fox. Anyway.
I like Star Fox too,
but
that was
never going to play it.
That was N64. And I own that console. I'm not going to own a Wii U.
I have the 2 that came out on GameCube.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I have a Wii so I can play them.
And that's coming out holiday 2015. That's, I think, their biggest game coming out.
I'll probably be checking that out on YouTube, but I'm not buying a Wii U just for the fucking Star Fox game.
Why does the Wii U still cost like $300?
I don't know.
Are they insane? That should be $200 at the most.
Because it costs us $400 to build, Jeff.
But they're not getting any money back while they're sitting at Walmart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they need to get something back.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, it's stupid. But we have shat on Nintendo and Microsoft so bad today. But the next...
Like any other day.
Now, this was interesting to me. Was they announced Metroid Prime Federation Force and Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes. Both huge titles, especially Zelda. That's their biggest title. Both only 3DS. So this was, a little writing on the wall that the Wii U is about to be dead.
There's been a lot of talk swirling that they're already working on their next generation console. I want to say it's the NX. The NX could have been the code name for the Wii U. I don't remember this point because I don't really follow Nintendo news much anymore. Yeah. I will say that the most interesting thing so far that we've talked about is they're in order one after the other in our notes, but you actually reverse the order of Metroid Prime and Legend of Zelda. That is probably the most interesting thing so far in our Nintendo talk.
That I fucked up the notes.
Yeah, it was Legend of Zelda and Metroid Prime, and you mentioned it Metroid Prime and Legend of Zelda for no reason.
I hate you.
I'm just saying that's the most interesting thing so far in the Nintendo conference.
It was a pretty...
Because the next fucking thing that they announced was Yoshi's Woolly World. Who fucking Ray? We're good for you.
Even Phil's
Good
like,
for you.
Even Phil's like, dude, I'm not fucking playing that.
Yeah, it was. You got to understand. I don't think we've ever really talked about Phil much on the podcast. We've mentioned him before, but he is like the biggest Nintendo fan that we know, and
he's the only person I know that owns a Wii U.
And Nintendo, he got it the day it came out, and Nintendo can do no wrong. And he's even like, yeah, no, they're doing wrong now. Like it's getting to the part that even Phil is noticing.
Yeah, shit has gone south, and yeah, they need to get that next console out and do something because the Wii U was.
But no, I totally agree that is very interesting that they mentioned two brand new games out of their two biggest franchises. One, which they haven't tapped much at all lately, and 3DS only. I mean, fuck, the Wii U has the tablet controller. It's basically got your dual screens, your TV and your tablet controller, and they're not even porting it to the Wii U.
Yeah, I think that's
that's your telltale sign.
That's the writing on the wall.
I
think the Wii. I think probably next E3 we're going to see alpha concepts of their next console, and then probably announce the name.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the end of the Wii U officially next E3, but we'll see.
I still say that eventually Nintendo is going to go the route of Sega and ditch consoles altogether.
No, I think they'll ditch consoles, but I think they'll still have like 3DS. I think they will still have handhelds because the 3DS overseas is huge.
Yeah.
Like ridiculously huge and successful. But yeah.
I mean, people will sell their kidneys in Japan to get a fucking 3DS.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But that's going to wrap up the super eventful Nintendo conference. And we just have one more, and that is Square Enix.
Interesting that the Final Fantasy VII was listed in the Sony conference. That was originally by the way, I don't think we mentioned, that was originally a Sony exclusive.
Oh,
Final
was it?
Fantasy VII. Actually, most of the Final Fantasy games. And the rumor has it the Final Fantasy VII remake is going to be on PS4 first, but not only. I believe
in the trailer it says launching first on PS4, so they're going to be moving it around.
And then it'll be Xbone, and I think it even had the Steam logo.
Yeah.
So,
and the architecture between PC, PS4, and Xbox One is so similar. They're stupid if they don't, because they're costing themselves, easy money.
Right. And like you were mentioning the fiasco with the 360 and the PS3 porting, that is largely why Xbox One and PS4 have virtually the same hardware inside, if not the exact hardware.
I think they actually are both x86, like the exact same hardware, because all the developers were like, dude, it was a nightmare. Like, why
fuck you, if you want our games, then you agreed to this hardware. So
yeah. The first thing at the Square Enix conference, though, was Just Cause 3 is releasing this December, which is crazy because same company is doing Mad Max. Yeah. No clue how the hell they got two games out in the same year, but they both look awesome. I've never played Just Cause. I've seen Let's Plays. It looks like a lot of fun. So we'll be probably checking that one out on YouTube, see how it goes. After that was...
in the what the fuck department, we have the World of Final Fantasy.
Which you should explain it, because I don't even know what the fuck I just watched.
I'm not even sure what I just saw either. It looked like their own version of Kingdom Hearts to me, is kind of what it seemed like. Which doesn't make sense, because every one of their games is like their own version of Kingdom Hearts, because they're the original, but
who knows?
It's a little cutesy take on all the world of Final Fantasy. They look like, what are those little fucking characters with the small bodies and big heads you can buy that are cartoony looking?
Shiibos? Is that what they're called?
Shiibos, something like that?
Yeah.
That's a lot what all of the characters kind of looked like in this. But it's got your favorite of all the Final Fantasy worlds and Final Fantasy characters in it. So, hooray? Maybe?
Hooray!
If you're into cutesy Final Fantasy, which is usually fairly dark story-wise...
honestly, that exists for Japan and China, because that's going to make $1 billion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's like crack for them. But after World of Final Fantasy, we had a Hitman gameplay trailer, which was actually... continuing the Hitman stuff they were announcing, because at the previous conference for the Sony one, they just had cinematic. This one apparently had gameplay. It's more Hitman. It looks pretty. It's up-res for the current gen. I finally said it correctly instead of saying the next gen. But yeah, it's more Hitman. I feel like Hitman.
That wasn't. I wasn't saying the current next gen thing to you.
Everybody's okay.
Everybody. No, that wasn't to you specifically.
Okay.
That was everybody. I was talking about we as in a society. Can we fucking move on from the next gen?
Probably still gonna be a while.
Yeah.
And
it'll be next gen.
Yeah, probably.
So Deus Ex, Mankind Divided. Fuck yes.
Look pretty sexy. That's like our theme for this. I've never played any of the Deus Ex games, but it looks pretty fucking cool.
I own it. It's in fucking shrink wrap still. I bought it when it was a new game, but yeah, I haven't played it yet. But after that trailer, I'm definitely gonna get caught up
in 2025.
In 2025,
when they've done 3 movies.
And then in the list of games that my wife's going to be excited about department, Kingdom Hearts 3 gameplay trailer.
Hooray! I've never played Kingdom Hearts either.
I never really have either, and I watched a lot of Christina playing Kingdom Hearts and Kingdom Hearts 2, and I mean, I get it.
I don't like franchise crossing over like that. It rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, it does me too. I didn't really... It's nothing I'm interested in. It's not bad to watch, and I get why people love it. And it's got its own mythology that's totally separate from the franchises that it crosses over, and the Disney characters. So, I mean, they've done a good job with it. It just doesn't appeal to me. My buddy Andre, though, that I used to work with at Cinemark,
he's pretty obsessed with it.
He's all about Kingdom Hearts.
That's one of those where it's like
polarized.
Every person who likes it is obsessed with it.
Yeah.
But people who, aren't into it are like me, like zero interest. Like I have no interest in ever playing Kingdom Hearts.
True story. On my break the other day, I went to my job is literally next door to KFC. So I just fucking walked over to KFC to get some lunch, and there was a dude, I don't know, he's probably like freshman or sophomore in high school, but he had a Kingdom Hearts t-shirt on. He had a fucking Keyblade hanging around his neck. He had black shorts that to me looked very reminiscent of the main character from Kingdom Hearts. I think my dog just tried to break into the room or something.
He's like, quit recording your shitty ass podcast.
Come play with me, squeak squeak. And he had a Kingdom Hearts backpack, and he was looking at fucking like laminated cards of the characters.
That kid has a problem. That's a little obsessive at that point.
But it was of the characters, and there's nothing else on the page. There's like a white page and a picture of the character, like he printed off the internet, like for himself, and he's just like going through them. Yeah.
People are freaking crazy for that game, and I don't.
I knew a person like that when I was in high school with Dragon Ball Z, but I didn't imagine
that's
Kingdom
acceptable.
Hearts.
That's Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball Z, motherfucker.
Yeah,
but Kingdom Hearts. No, true story. Hand of God. I was just like, okay then, hello. I don't know what else to say to you.
Yeah, so what is it? Maybe 3 or 4 games on the list we'll actually be playing. That's about what I've realized. But that's actually. What were you about to say?
I was going to say also about Kingdom Hearts, real quick. Not about KFC Boy, but didn't they announce fairly recently when they announced that game that Kingdom Hearts 3 like ends part 1 of their trilogy?
Oh God.
Or something?
I didn't hear any of this.
No, I heard that somewhere. I'm going to have to look that up to try to substantiate my claim, because it seems like everything I've talked about tonight is rumor. But I want to say, who knew Disney liked to milk franchises? But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's supposed to end like part 1 of 3 or something. And I think they might have even called it phase 1.
No, everyone's got to be their freaking.
But it's going to be their Marvel. Yeah,
everyone's got to be Marvel.
Yeah.
Freaking Marvel and their success, making everyone be annoying and rip them off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible.
Well, there has to be posers, right?
Yeah, there always has to be. So,
not that Disney owns Marvel or anything. But,
shut up, Ron. Don't bring your logic to this conversation.
So, all right, we are at 93 minutes. That's not too bad.
It's pretty bad.
We thought it'd be a 3 hour.
We were supposed to lightning round. We didn't lightning round a goddamn thing.
No, we did Microsoft.
No, the one we did lightning round was Nintendo, because we literally have no reason to talk about them.
Yeah.
So it's pretty bad. But yeah, that's going to be a wrap-up to E3 2015, and we'll be talking about video games next E3. Hooray, next year! But if you want to check us out more, we're actually about to record our Game of Thrones commentary Ron referenced earlier.
After a short break.
Yeah, thank God.
My throat can't take anymore, which is what she said.
Yeah, that's probably going to be a cold opening at some point as well. But if you'd like to check us out more, you can listen to the Game of Thrones commentary. Did you figure out when we're going to be releasing that? Is it going to be like a day after, same day? Like,
I imagine concurrently.
Yeah, who cares? No one listens.
Yeah, no one listens anyway. We can do whatever the fuck we want.
So, if you want to follow us on Twitter, you can find us at TWBE Podcasts, and on Facebook at facebook.com/TWBE Podcast. I am Jeff.
I'm Ron.
And we will catch you next time.